in person. Our houses are starting to get to us.
Okay, we're live.
We're still waiting, Dwayne?
No, we're live. Hope I'm muted, no wonder. Nope, we're live.
All right, good evening, everybody. Al, can you start us with roll call, please?
Okay, we'll start with Benson.
Benson here.
Benson is present. Sarda.
Sarda here.
Sarda is present. Fertig.
Fertig here.
Fertig is present. Hoffner.
Hoffner present.
Hoffner is present. Minor.
Minor present.
Minor is present. Mosier.
Mosier here.
Mosier's here. Schramm and Dog.
Schramm is here.
Schramm is present. Weber.
Weber's present.
Weber's present. Mayor Johnson.
Johnson is present.
Mayor Johnson is present. City Manager Leon.
Leon here.
City Manager Leon's here. And City Attorney Denherter. Looks like Mr. Denherter is not present at the time.
Okay.
Ross just texted me. He's having some technical issues. He's going to overcome them, but he will be a little bit late.
You have before you the minutes of the regular meeting of June 8th, 2020, and the special City Commission meeting of June 5th, 2020. What is your pleasure?
Weber moves to approve the minutes.
Sarda second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any commission discussion of the minutes? Al, roll call, please.
Okay, Hoffner.
Hoffner votes aye.
Hoffner is aye. Minor.
Minor, aye.
Minor is aye. Mosier.
Mosier, aye.
Mosier is aye. Schramm.
Schramm aye.
Schramm is aye. Weber.
Weber is aye.
Weber is aye. Benson.
Benson, aye.
Benson is aye. Sarda.
Sarda aye.
Sarda is aye. Fertig.
Fertig aye.
Fertig is aye. Mayor Johnson.
Johnson, aye.
Johnson is aye. Motion to pass the minutes is approved 9-0.
City Manager's report.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, members of the Commission. Just a few things for you this morning. We heard from Governor Noem today about her CARES Act plan for distributing the funding that the state received from the federal government to address the coronavirus in our local municipalities and county governments. The city of Yankton is eligible for $3.3 million, a little more than that. That's exciting for us. We're glad about that. We do not yet know all the parameters of the program. However, we do know it's a reimbursement. So this is not a windfall of cash where we can go out and do something really cool and fun and exciting, like build something new or do. There's parameters with that money, and we're going to need to follow those. So we're taking a look at that. We think it's going to be very helpful to us in that we've spent money on technology, we've spent some money on PPE and those types of things. And we'll be as creative as we can within the parameters of the program not to leave any money on the table. We'd like to utilize our full allocation if possible. So staff will be working with District 3 very closely on studying the reimbursement. There will be some work for you to do. So at our next meeting, my understanding is that in order to even become eligible for reimbursement, there is a resolution that the commission will need to pass, as well as an agreement that you will need to pass. So we're working on preparing those things for our next commission meeting. And in the meantime, we're going to be meeting with District 3. John Clem is our liaison there to help us with the reimbursement portal and understand the parameters of the program. So probably primarily related to technology, separating employees, materials, construction and supplies, as well as perhaps some emergency services personnel reimbursement. So we are still looking at our budget in terms of, I think Dwayne put it as keeping our powder dry. So just because we have access to this reimbursement, not knowing what the future will bring, we just think that it's probably a good idea to not overspend or over budget even at this point. So we're still wanting to be cautious, but we do believe that we are going to be able to access quite a fair bit of money. Also, I wanted to let folks know that beginning July 1st, the state law against texting and driving is in effect. And so there'll be no texting and driving, which I think is going to be a welcome law for everyone. But we've been caught up in so many things lately that we haven't been paying attention to the fact that there are going to be a number of state laws passed new here that begin July 1st. We are closed July 3rd and July 4th, of course, in observation of Independence Day. Garbage routes for the 2nd and 3rd, Thursday and Friday, will both be collected on Thursday. So with that, I'll let you get to your business unless there's questions for me.
Amy, did you want to?
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Something weird just happened. Commissioner Minor here. Quick question. I know that Mayor Tenhaken was part of the presentation today, and Sioux Falls is looking to get like $41 million in the CARES Act. Do we have any ballpark figure? Do we have any idea what we might be working with, or is it just too soon to know?
3.3 million approximately. I think it's 3,375, something like that. So 3.3. It's based on it's based on population, the allocation.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any more commission questions for the city manager? If not, Amy, can you talk a little bit about the FAA CARES grant application that we need to add to tonight's agenda?
Yes, I did send an email to the commission earlier today. However, we found out that there is an item that I need you to act on. I need authorization to sign a FAA CARES Act grant, which is a 100% grant. It's a $30,000 allocation. We don't have any match in it. Those minutes that indicate that you have authorized me to sign that need to get up to peer by June 30th. So typically I don't like to add anything to the agenda. The agenda deadline is the agenda deadline, and that's kind of a sacred rule for us. However, it has to be there by June 30th, and I thought as opposed to scheduling a special meeting between now and then, the commission would be amenable to allowing us to add that under other business after the new business is complete. And Dave Mingo will give you more information on that item if you so choose to place it on the agenda.
So is anyone willing to add that? I think we could make it number 13 under new business. If anyone's willing to make that motion.
Mosier will make a motion to add that to new business.
Benson, a second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any commission discussion on that item? Al, can you do roll call, please?
As soon as I find my mic button, and this is a roll call to add the CARES Act agreement with the FAA for $30,000 to tonight's agenda. We'll start with Minor.
Minor votes aye.
Minor's aye. Mosier.
Mosier, aye.
Mosier's aye. Schramm.
Schramm, aye.
Schramm is aye. Weber.
Weber is aye.
Weber is aye. Benson.
Benson is aye.
Benson is aye. Sarda.
Sarda, aye.
Sarda's aye. Ferdig.
Fertig, aye.
Ferdig is aye. Hoffner.
Hoffner, aye.
Hoffner is aye. Mayor Johnson.
Johnson is an aye.
Johnson is aye. So the motion to add an agenda item tonight for the FAA agreement passes 9-0.
Thank you.
Next is public appearances. This is the time for members of the audience who wish to address the commission about an item not on tonight's agenda to please do so. So let's start with the commission chambers. Dwayne, anyone there who wishes to address the commission?
Mr. Mayor, we have nobody on site out at the Artec.
Thank you very much. Dave, any YouTube comments?
There are no YouTube comments at this time.
Thank you very much. We will move on to the consent item agenda. Number 1 is establishing July 13th, 2020 as the date for the public hearing on the request for a special events on sale liquor license for July 24th from the Chamber of Commerce. And this would be at the Yankton Rodeo Grounds, which is at 404 Paddle Wheel Drive. What is your pleasure?
Benson, so moved.
Start a second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any commission discussion on this item? Dwayne, anyone in the commission chambers who wishes to address the commission?
No one at this time.
Thank you. Dave, anyone on YouTube?
No comments on YouTube at this time.
Thank you very much. Al, roll call, please.
Excuse me, forgot the mic button. We're voting on consent item number 1. Mosier.
Mosier, aye.
Mosier's aye. Schramm.
Schramm, aye.
Schramm is aye. Weber.
Weber's aye.
Weber's aye. Benson.
Benson's aye.
Benson is aye. Sarda.
Sarda, aye.
Sarda is aye. Fertig.
Fertig, aye.
Fertig is aye. Hoffner.
Hoffner,
Hoffner, I didn't hear you vote. I heard you say your name, but
Hoffner, aye.
Hoffner is aye. Minor.
Minor is aye.
Minor is aye. Mayor Johnson.
Johnson, aye.
Mayor Johnson is aye. Consent item number 2-1 passes 9-0.
Number 2 under the consent items is consideration of Memorandum 20-117 recommending approval of the applications from Rock and Rumble Inc. for a transient merchant license for July 25th, 2020, and a special events dance license for July 25th. What is your pleasure?
Move the memorandum. Weber. Benson, second.
We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion on this item? Dwayne, anyone in the commission chambers who wishes to address the commission?
We have no one to comment on this item.
Thank you. And Dave, anyone on YouTube with a comment?
No YouTube chat items at this time.
Thank you. Al, roll call, please.
This is the vote on item number 2-2. Schramm.
Schramm, aye.
Schramm is aye. Weber.
Weber's aye.
Weber is aye. Benson.
Benson is aye.
Benson is aye. Sarda.
Sarda, aye.
Sarda is aye. Fertig.
Fertig, aye.
Fertig is aye. Hoffner.
Hoffner, aye.
Hoffner is aye. Minor.
Minor is aye.
Minor is aye. Mosier.
Mosier, aye.
Mosier is aye. Mayor Johnson.
Johnson, aye.
Mayor Johnson is aye. Consent item 2-2 passes 9-0.
We are now moving on to old business, and number 1 is consideration of Memorandum 20-116 regarding the request for a special events on sale liquor license for July 25th, 2020 from Rock and Rumble. This would be for the block of 3rd Street between Douglas and Capitol Street. What is your pleasure?
Mosier moves the memorandum.
Weber, second.
We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion on this item? Dwayne, anyone in the commission chambers with input on this item?
We have no one appearing to comment on this item.
Thank you. Dave, anyone on YouTube with input on this item?
No chat comments on this item.
Thank you. Al, roll call, please.
This is roll call on old business item number 3-1. Weber.
Weber is aye.
Weber is aye. Benson.
Benson, aye.
Benson is aye. Sarda.
Sarda, aye.
Sarda is aye. Fertig.
Fertig, aye.
Fertig is aye. Hoffner.
Hoffner, aye.
Hoffner is aye. Minor?
Minor is aye.
Minor is aye. Mosier?
Mosier, aye.
Mosier is aye. Schramm?
Schramm, aye.
Schramm is aye. Mayor Johnson?
Johnson, aye.
Johnson is aye. Old business item number 3-1 passes 9-0.
Moving on to new business. Number 1 is consideration of Memorandum 20-114 regarding the 2020 to 21 annual supply of petroleum and transport tank wagon petroleum products. What is your pleasure?
Burdick moves.
Schramm, second.
We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion on this item? Dwayne, anyone in the commission chambers with input on this item?
We have no one to comment on this item.
Thank you. And Dave, anyone on YouTube with input on this item?
There are no chat comments on this item.
Thank you. Al, roll call, please.
Okay, and we're voting on new business item 4-1. Benson?
Benson, I.
Benson is aye. Sarda?
Sarda, aye.
Sarda is aye. Fertig?
Burdick, aye.
Fertig is aye. Hoffner?
Hoffner, aye.
Hoffner is aye. Minor?
Minor, aye.
Minor is aye. Mosier?
Mosier, aye.
Mosier is aye. Schramm?
Schramm, aye.
Schramm is aye. Weber?
Weber is I.
Weber is aye. Mayor Johnson?
Johnson, aye.
Johnson is aye. New business item 4-1 passes 9-0.
Number 2 under new business is consideration of Memorandum 20-120 regarding change order number 1, final project acceptance and final payment for the 5th Street reconstruction from Green Street to Broadway Avenue. And the cost comes in at $2,014 less than the contract amount, so the total amount is $340,909.35. What is your pleasure?
Weber, so moved.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second. Any commission discussion on this item?
Mayor Johnson, just to make a comment, I don't know if anybody's driven down there yet, but I thought they did a great job. And so shout out to Adam and the engineering staff. I'm not making light of it. It actually looks very nice around the tree. So I was happy to see that that's there, and it looks very natural. It doesn't look awkward making that accommodation around the tree. So thanks to the engineering staff for working on that.
Yeah, thank you for that, Commissioner Mosier. I've driven through there quite a few times, and people are using the sidewalks, so it's good to see that everything worked out, and we were able to hopefully make the neighborhood happy. Any more commission discussion? Dwayne, anyone in the commission chambers with input on this item?
We have no one with comments on this item.
Thank you. And Dave, anyone on YouTube with input on this item?
There are no chat comments on this item.
Thank you. Al, roll call.
And this is roll call on new business item 4-2. Sarda?
Sarda, aye.
Sarda's aye. Fertig?
Burdick, aye.
Fertig is aye. Hoffner?
Hoffner, aye.
Hoffner is aye. Minor?
Minor, aye.
Minor is aye. Mosier?
Mosier, aye.
Mosier is aye. Schramm?
Schramm, aye.
Schramm is aye. Weber?
Weber is I.
Weber is aye. Benson?
Benson, I.
Benson is aye. Mayor Johnson?
Johnson, aye.
Mayor Johnson is aye. New business item 4-2 passes 9-0.
Number 3 under new business is consideration of Memorandum 20-118 regarding change order number 1, final project acceptance and final payment for the Martin Creek Bank stabilization and water main crossing. It came in at $44,267 less than the contract amount, so the total cost was $556,087.15. What is your pleasure?
Started moves to approve.
Benson, second.
We've got a motion and a second. Any commission discussion on this item? Dwayne, anyone in the commission chambers with input on this item?
We have no one appearing to comment on this item.
Thank you. And Dave, anyone on YouTube with input on this item?
There are no chat comments on this item.
Al, roll call, please.
Okay, we're voting on new business item 4-3, Fertig.
Fertig, aye.
Fertig is aye. Hoffner.
Hoffner, aye.
Hoffner is aye. Minor.
Minor, aye.
Minor is aye. Moser.
Mosier, aye.
Moser is aye. Schramm.
Schramm, aye.
Schramm is aye. Weber.
Weber is aye.
Weber is aye. Benson.
Benson, aye.
Benson is aye. Sarda.
Sarda, aye.
Sarda is aye. Mayor Johnson.
Johnson, aye.
Mayor Johnson is aye. New business item 4-3 passes 9-0.
Number 4 under new business is consideration of memorandum 20-109 regarding request to apply for a scholarship to attend Mount Marty College's integrated leadership training program. This would be the city manager applying for that. It's a maximum $2,000 scholarship. What is your pleasure?
Benson, so moved.
Schramm, second.
We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion on this item?
Just in glancing at the brochure that was attached, it looks like just an excellent program. I'm glad that City Manager Leon is going to attend, and I think it not only in terms of building perspective on leadership, but in building relationships with Mount Marty College. I think it's a win-win.
Any more commission discussion? Dwayne, anyone in the commission chambers with input on this item?
We have no one appearing to comment on this item.
Thank you. And Dave, anyone on YouTube with input on this item?
There are no chat comments on this item.
Thank you. Al, roll call, please.
Okay, and we're voting on new business item 4-4, Hoffner.
Hoffner votes aye.
Hoffner is aye. Minor.
Minor, aye.
Minor is aye. Moser.
Mosier, aye.
Moser is aye. Schramm.
Schramm, aye.
Schramm is aye. Weber.
Weber is aye.
Weber is aye. Benson.
Benson, aye.
Benson is aye. Sarda.
Sarda, aye.
Sarda is aye. Fertig.
Fertig, aye.
Fertig is aye. Mayor Johnson.
Johnson, aye.
Mayor Johnson is aye. New business item 4-4 passes 9-0.
Number 5 under new business is consideration of memorandum 20-115 regarding a bid award for a rough mower purchase for the Fox Run Golf Course. The cost would be $66,777. What is your pleasure?
Sarda moves approval.
Weber seconds.
We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion on this item? Dwayne, anyone in the commission chambers with input on this item?
We have no one appearing to comment on this item.
Thank you. And Dave, anyone on YouTube with input on this item?
There are no YouTube chat comments on this item.
Thank you. Al, roll call, please.
And this is roll call on new business item 4-5. Minor.
Minor, aye.
Minor is aye. Moser.
Mosier, aye.
Moser is aye. Schramm.
Schramm, aye.
Schramm is aye. Weber.
Weber is aye.
Weber is aye. Benson.
Benson is aye.
Benson is aye. Sarda.
Sarda, aye.
Sarda is aye. Fertig.
Fertig, aye.
Fertig is aye. Hoffner.
Hoffner, aye.
Hoffner is aye. Mayor Johnson.
Johnson, aye.
Mayor Johnson is aye. New business item 4-5 passes 9-0.
Number 6 under new business is introduction, first reading, and establishing July 13th, 2020 as the second reading of an ordinance 1035 regarding the truck route ordinance within the city of Yankton. Is anyone willing to introduce that?
Go introduce Mosier.
Thank you. And can one of the staff members just explain to the public what we're doing here?
Ross, do you want to take that for the commission?
Sure. Can you guys all hear me okay? Kind of, sorta? Okay. There's a problem that our PD has been experiencing with trucks that have been using what I think we perceive as sort of a shortcut using 9th Street off of Summit heading to West City Limits Road. We have some signage issues, but that's a state DOT highway. So if someone were to download our official truck routes map, that is the roads that we are electing to include within the truck routes are already on that map. But we can't sign that route properly until we officially adopt those roads as part of the city's official truck routes. So that's the function of this particular ordinance amendment. It simply adds that chunk of 4th Street that becomes Summit, 8th Street from Summit to West City Limits Road, and that block between 8th and 9th Street on West City Limits Road as the funnel for the trucks coming down Highway 50, heading west out of town. It's designed to keep those trucks off of the further north pieces of Summit and 9th Street in that neighborhood.
Any commission discussion on that before we move on? Again, the public hearing for that will be on July 13th. Number 7 under new business is consideration of Memorandum 20-110, introduction and first reading of ordinance number 1036, establishing July 13th, 2020 as a date for a public hearing to consider a rezoning from I-1 industrial to R4 multiple family residential for 1900 Locust Street. Can we get an introduction?
Sparta introduced.
Thank you. Any further commission discussion before we move on? All right, number 8 under new business is consideration of Memorandum 20-111 regarding Resolution 20-39, Plat of 2212 and 2214 Valley Road. What is your pleasure?
Minor move.
Weber's motion.
We have a motion and a second. Dave, I think this is a pretty mundane thing, but it does involve our city manager. So if you could just explain to the public what's going on there and make sure we're fully transparent.
Sure. The city manager does own is an owner of the property to the south of the location of this parcel of land. It's a small sliver of property, approximately 5 feet wide is all. It's part of the drainage way that's owned by the homeowners association that they are responsible for maintaining. The creation of this plat would allow the transfer of that 5 feet to the property owner to the south, which is Lawrence Leone. Kind of a win situation for the city from the perspective that we always have better luck working with individual property owners for maintenance of required drainage ways than we do with associations. Associations have a tendency to come and go, and their level of activity or involvement changes over time. So if there's a proposal that can move property to a single owner that we can work with for maintenance on property long-term, future owners also, that's the direction we want to go. So staff recommends approval. Fairly basic item.
Thank you for that. Any commission discussion on this item? Dwayne, anyone in the commission chambers who wishes to address the commission on this item?
We have no one appearing to comment on this item.
And Dave, any input on YouTube for the commission?
There are no YouTube chat comments on this item.
Thank you. Roll call, Al.
Okay, we're voting on new business item 4-8. Mosier.
Mosier, aye.
Mosier's aye. Schramm.
Schramm, aye.
Strom is aye. Weber?
Weber is aye.
Weber is aye. Benson?
Benson, I.
Benson is aye. Sarda?
Sarda, aye.
Sarda is aye. Fertig?
Fertig, aye.
Fertig is aye. Hoffner?
Hoffner, aye.
Hoffner is aye. Minor?
Minor, aye.
Minor is aye. Mayor Johnson?
Johnson, aye.
Johnson is aye. New business item 4-8 passes 9-0.
And number 9 under new business is consideration of memorandum 20-112 regarding resolution 20-40, a drainage easement vacation on lot 6, outlot 6 of Hillcrest East Edition in the city of Yankton. What is your pleasure?
This is Sharon. Move the memorandum.
Sarda, second.
We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion on this item? Dwayne, anyone in the commission chambers who wishes to address the commission on this item?
We have no one appearing to comment on this item.
Thank you. And Dave, any YouTube input on this item?
There are no YouTube chat comments on this item.
Thank you. Al, roll call, please.
Okay, this is a roll call on new business item 4-9. Schramm?
Schramm, aye.
Schramm is aye. Weber?
Weber is aye.
Weber is aye. Benson?
Benson, I.
Benson is aye. Sarda?
Sarda, aye.
Sarda is aye. Fertig?
Fertig, aye.
Fertig is aye. Hoffner?
Hoffner, aye.
Hoffner is aye. Minor?
Minor, aye.
Minor is aye. Mosier?
Mosier, aye.
Mosier is aye. Mayor Johnson?
Johnson, aye.
Mayor Johnson is aye. New business item 4-9 passes 9-0.
Number 10 under new business is consideration of memorandum 20-113 regarding resolution 20-41, authorization to execute lien waivers, property transfers, and associated contracts regarding properties at 310 Pearl Street, 900 East 8th Street, and 819 Birch Road. What is your pleasure?
Mosier moves the memorandum.
Minor, second.
We have a motion and a second. Dave, do you want to explain to the public what we're doing here? It's kind of a cool project.
Yeah, we're kind of bundling some property reclamation projects at 3 locations into one action here. Actually, the first property listed at 310 Pearl, the commission, you may remember, had previously taken action on to transfer that property to YAPG. We're now ready to go ahead and follow through with the action of the waiver of the obligations, the city-related obligations or encumbrances on that property. This action would not only do that at 310 Pearl, but would also at 900 East 8th and 819 Birch Road would also authorize the city manager to sign transfer documents as titles were available and sign documents associated with waiving the encumbrances. All of these properties are a situation where they're essentially upside down. There is a far greater level of debt associated with liens filed against these properties than they're worth. So in concert with the county, and we've already received their approval on this proposal, we can take a situation where there's little to no hope of actually having any private development interest in these properties for a long time, and actually the encumbrances would mount over time to, if we wipe the slate clean at this point, we can, there will be private interest in redeveloping these properties. So we'll have opportunities for 3 new residences at these locations. One of them might be a rehab of the current structure that's yet to be decided. And we're using YAPG, of course, as our economic development partner to transfer the titles. Essentially taking property that would sit there as a code enforcement nightmare, building up further debt and liens for a long period of time, and making them productive in the community again.
We'll work on that, Dave. Thank you. Is there any commission discussion on this item? Dwayne, anyone in the commission chambers who wishes to address the commission?
We have no one appearing to address this item.
Thank you. And Dave, anyone on YouTube with input on this item?
There are no chat comments on this item.
Al, roll call, please.
Okay, and this is the roll call on new business item 4-10. Weber.
Weber votes aye.
Weber is aye. Benson.
Benson, aye.
Benson is aye. Sarda.
Sarda, aye.
Sarda is aye. Fertig.
Fertig, aye.
Fertig is aye. Hoffner.
Hoffner, aye.
Hoffner is aye. Minor.
Minor, aye.
Minor is aye. Mosier.
Mosier, aye.
Mosier is aye. Schramm.
Schramm, aye.
Schramm is aye. Mayor Johnson.
Johnson, aye.
Mayor Johnson is aye. New business item 4-10 passes 9-0.
Number 11 under new business is consideration of memorandum 20-122 regarding a water line easement relocation. What is your pleasure?
Sarda moves the memorandum.
Weber second.
We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion on this item?
Yeah, could we get just an explanation of what's going on?
Sure. There's private development interest in the property on the north side of 25th Street across from the First Assembly of God Church. We've known since the 1980s or beyond that there's been a water main through what would eventually become a public water main through what would eventually become private property. Development proposal has come forward, and the proposed structures that the developer wishes to place on the site fit better with a very slight adjustment to the water line, and also the water line at one point for 100 plus feet is only 3 feet deep, and so even to do a parking lot, we'd want the water line to be deeper. The developer is going to carry all the costs associated with not only adjusting the water line a few feet to the east so it misses his building footprints, but also burying it at a specified depth for so it can survive our winters around here a little better than something 3 feet deep. So staff has recommended approval. Engineering and planning staff have both looked at it.
And Dave, does that include, I'm looking at the picture that you sent with the minutes that has the slotted lines and the red lines. I'm guessing the slotted is where it is, the red line is where they want it, and are they doing the full extent and that's why it's all colored together, or is it just that section that they wish to move?
So it's actually the opposite. The existing easement is where the red line is, and the dashed line is showing the new easement. They will actually be burying it the full length of the property. They could reduce the length of what they want to bury to the northern portion of it if they so choose, because the southern part of it is deep enough. It's over 7 feet deep in the southern portion. So I think they're going to bury it the whole length of the project, but they wouldn't have to if they choose not to. It's that very northern third of it that's in the way.
Great, thank you.
Any more commission discussion? Dwayne, anyone in the commission chambers with input on this item?
We have no one appearing to comment on this item.
And Dave, anyone on YouTube with input on this item?
There are no chat comments on this item.
Thank you. Al, roll call, please.
And this is roll call on new business item 4-11. Benson.
Benson, aye.
Benson is aye. Sarda.
Sarda, aye.
Sarda is aye. Fertig.
Fertig, aye.
Fertig is aye. Hoffner.
Hoffner, aye.
Hoffner is aye. Minor.
Minor, aye.
Minor is aye. Mosier.
Mosier, aye.
Mosier's aye. Schramm.
Schramm, aye.
Schramm is aye. Weber.
Weber is aye.
Weber is aye. Mayor Johnson.
Johnson, aye.
Mayor Johnson is aye. New business item 4-11 passes 9-0.
Number 12 under new business is consideration of memorandum 20-119 and resolution 20-38 regarding a request by Rock and Rumble for special events parking ordinance number 933 to be in place during Rock and Rumble on July 25th. What is your pleasure?
Benson, so moved.
Sarda, second.
We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion on this item?
Commissioner Minor, I would just like to say I appreciate the ongoing communication that is happening between the city and event planners and Brittany and everybody as we work our way through the summer. I know we've had some disappointments and cancellations, but I feel like we're working together and we're in it together. And I really appreciate that. Great job, Yankton.
Thank you, Commissioner Minor. Any more commission discussion? Dwayne, anyone in the commission chambers with input on this item?
Mr. Mayor, we have no one appearing to comment on this item.
Thank you. And Dave, anyone on YouTube with input on this item?
There are no YouTube chat comments on this item.
Thank you. Al, roll call, please.
And this is roll call on new business item 4-12. Sarda.
Sarda, aye.
Sarda is aye. Fertig.
Fertig, aye.
Fertig is aye. Hoffner.
Hoffner, aye.
Hoffner is aye. Minor.
Minor, aye.
Minor is aye. Mosier.
Mosier, aye.
Mosier is aye. Schramm.
Schramm, aye.
Schramm is aye. Weber.
Weber is aye.
Weber is aye. Benson.
Benson, aye.
Benson is aye. Mayor Johnson.
Johnson, aye.
Johnson is aye. New business item 4-12 passes 9-0.
All right, and number 13 under new business is the FAA CARES grant application. This would be a motion to authorize the city manager to sign that application. Is that correct?
It is, and Dave can give you more information on the topic if you would like.
Okay. Commission, do we have a motion and a second before we go to Dave?
Schramm, so moved.
Mosier, second.
We have a motion and a second. Dave, if you could give us a little more background on this, please.
Sure. This is the actual grant agreement. The application, you may remember we told you about a month or so ago. We knew we were going to receive this money when the FAA announced it and the state announced it. So we've been working through the paperwork associated with accessing the funds. The application, like I said, was submitted a while back. This is an agreement, and the kicker and the reason that we had to add it at the to the agenda tonight is we actually need minutes from a commission meeting authorizing the city manager to do this. Typically, the city manager in their administrative role is able to sign most of these types of documents once we have an application submitted. That is not the case here, so that's why it's a special agenda item tonight. But just from a technicality standpoint, it's the actual agreement.
Thank you for clarifying that, Dave. So this would give her permission to sign the agreement. Any more commission discussion on this item? Dwayne, anyone in the commission chambers with input on this item?
We have no one appearing to comment on this item.
And Dave, any YouTube input on this item?
There are no YouTube chat comments on this item.
Thank you. Al, roll call, please.
Roll call on new business item 4-13, added to the agenda earlier tonight. Fertig.
Fertig, aye.
Fertig is aye. Hoffner.
Hoffner, aye.
Hoffner is aye. Minor.
Minor, aye.
Minor is aye. Mosier.
Mosier, aye.
Mosier is aye. Schramm.
Schramm, aye.
Schramm is aye. Weber.
Weber is aye.
Weber is aye. Benson.
Benson, aye.
Benson is aye. Sarda.
Sarda, aye.
Sarda is aye. Mayor Johnson.
Johnson, aye.
Johnson is aye. New business item 4-13 passes 9-0.
All right. Is no other business on tonight's agenda, so I would ask for a motion to adjourn, please.
Minor moves.
Sarda second.
We've got a motion and a second. Al, roll call, please.
And this is the roll call on the adjournment of tonight's meeting. Hoffner.
Hoffner, aye.
Hoffner is aye. Minor.
Minor, aye.
Minor is aye. Mosier.
Mosier, aye.
Mosier is aye. Schramm.
Schramm, aye.
Schramm is aye. Weber.
Weber is I.
Weber is aye. Benson.
Benson is aye.
Benson is aye. Sarda.
Sarda, aye.
Sarda is aye. Fertig.
Fertig, aye.
Fertig is aye. Mayor Johnson.
Johnson is an aye.
Johnson is an aye. Motion to adjourn passes 9-0.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good night. Take care.
Good night.